Hello.
Good evening, sir. You're a former solicitor, so you've been in more courthouses than you care to remember.
I have, and I gave it up about 30 years ago because I became rather disillusioned with the law.
Really?
Because it was becoming too expensive. And it was, I used to meet policemen outside court, and they used to say they'd done a lot of work on a case. They prepared it. It was enormously, they were going around in circles, should I say, going backwards and forwards to court with the same people, getting them acquitted.
Yes.
And they were quite fed up with the jury system.
Yeah.
And the jury system, we forget, is actually a medieval system. When people spoke, they had their friends speak for them, they had juries speaking for them, listening, and it's not capable of dealing with modern-day lawyers. The modern-day lawyers bamboozle the juries, and that's why you end up with a lot of not guilties where there should be guilties. And I had my own experience of 2 crimes perpetrated on me. One a fraud where the police said they wouldn't prosecute because it'd be too expensive, and one a theft by a member of staff where they said they wouldn't prosecute because it was too expensive and they couldn't afford to lose cases.
Interesting. So
£10,000 a day in court, they said.
In doing so, that if they lose the case, it bucks their statistics.
And if you take a 6-month case, that's millions of pounds.
Yeah. How is that?
And they lose that case, and then they lose that case because a jury, for some reason or other, finds them not guilty, and they get criticised.
Am I being naive here, Norman? If I were to say I could do it cheaper?
You are being naive because the law has brought in systems. We live in an era of lawyers, not law. There's no longer a rule of law. So if you go to court, you've probably got no chance against a lawyer in civil or criminal matter.
Yeah.
The procedures are complicated, they're expensive, they're time-consuming. I spent, the fraudster I was talking about, I spent £100,000 in getting adjournments at court. Not even getting a hearing. This was a civil matter at the time as well.
So you were getting adjournments for the client?
I was just getting adjournments. It was costing me £10,000 in adjournment.
Wow.
In legal fees.
So you were doing this
as a defence
lawyer?
No, I had someone acting for me. As I said, I gave up the law and I became totally disillusioned with it. But it was costing me £10,000 in legal fees every time I went to court.
That's extraordinary.
And it was always down to some procedural point or some piece of paper that would lead to something costing me thousands of pounds. The legal system of this country is broken like the medical system.
But is that's interesting. I'd love to pursue the medical system point, but that's clearly another debate. Would you say, though, that the jury system is part of that?
It's outdated. It's outdated. Juries are naive. They sit there and they don't... I mean, the question today, when a jury said, what is beyond reasonable doubt? That is probably the sole problem of our criminal legal system. Juries don't know the meaning of what beyond reasonable doubt is. Are you beyond reasonable doubt that you're going home tonight?
Yes. Yes, the idea that you have to...
The real position is you really genuinely believe the person is guilty. But this word beyond reasonable doubt is twisted by lawyers and gets people off left, right and centre.
Yes, I mean, it's an amazingly, dare I say, generous premise to throw to a jury in favour of a defendant.
Absolutely. Well, in a civil case, the rule is a balance of probabilities.
Sure.
Which I suppose means I really believe one party above the other. But in a criminal case, these words...
Yeah.
But what does it mean? You tell me what... The judge, when asked what is beyond reasonable doubt, replies, it means that it's something that you don't doubt reasonably, or some words like that. That's just a nonsense. What does it mean?
It is incredible.
What does it mean to a jury?
I sat at Maidstone Crown Court a few years ago, this is as a journalist, reporting on a case, and somebody else had reported on most of it, and this was sort of summing up, and I was listening to the defence of this man, and as is normal, as you will know very well, Norman, you know, a good defence lawyer, and this guy was incredibly good. It was almost like watching Jack Nicholson up there performing, and I remember thinking, you know, whatever you do not lock this man up, because, you know, this guy is clearly being wronged here. He's being, you know, he should never, of course, be here. And all of this wasn't based on me, and it was important that I said to you that I didn't hear the case. All I heard was the summing up, and I think often juries that have been there for weeks on end only hear the summing up, and there was this man...
And they're completely confused. And the defendant wears a nice suit. He's told to wear a nice suit. He's very smart.
Yeah.
And of course, fraudsters and thieves are very clever people and very believable.
Well, this guy was.
They can look you in the eye with no conscience,
Sure.
and you think they're innocent.
This guy was found, as it says out, guilty, and it was the murder of a child as well. And when we heard his previous convictions, of course, afterwards, you start to think, wow, that's quite incredible that the defence was able to make such a claim about this man, given his past.
Well, my brother tells me he was on a jury, and they didn't discuss whether the guy was guilty. They discussed whether they agreed or disagreed with drugs, because it was a drug case. And the argument boiled down to, we don't think people on drugs should go to prison.
So
and
he
they
was
let them off.
Not guilty based on their view of drugs. Not the case.
Yeah, they're absolutely correct. He said he tried to say, but they've done it, and they said, no, it's done to it, done it. Do we think they should go? They should have a sentence?
That's extraordinary.
And so, well, that's in a sense the system relies on that when it was Middle Ages, but it's outdated. It's I personally believe our criminal system is broken. We are already getting very close to the point that the rule of law of this country will break down. It's breaking down because of expense.
Norman, I thank you for your passion and exasperation as well. But you clearly speak with qualification, experience, and feel very strongly about the changing of our legal system. But I fear that what you're looking for is something that is decades, if not centuries away. Lee is on the M25. How are you?